So how can you use AI to understand any stock for investment purposes? I'm Yash Utmani from Indian Insight, and in this video, I'm going to show you how you can take help from AI engines to gain a better understanding of any business. In this video, we are going to take a case study of a company I'm invested in, IEX. We will use the growth engine of X to ask questions to understand fresh news about the stock. Then we will prompt Grok to help us analyze the implication of that news. And finally, we will see how analysis using Grok can help us in anticipating future potential developments. But before we start, time for disclaimer and disclosure. This video is not meant to be investment advice. I'm invested in this stock and this is a sample analysis for educational purposes only. I'm not registered with SEBI as an investment advisor, so please consult a registered investment advisor for any investment advice. With that out of the way, let's get started. So yesterday, IEX filed this update with exchanges. In this update, there is some mention of ICX, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of IEX, and it focuses on market-based mechanisms to promote environmental support activities. Now, the news was that International Carbon Exchange has entered an issuer agreement with the International Tracking Standard Foundation, which has its office at so and so place. And this agreement basically authorizes ICX to act as a local issuer of international renewable energy certificates in the Indian market. So as part of this role, it further mentions that ICX will be responsible for registering production facilities and issuing IRECs on the registry managed by Evident for India. Now, if you have doubts about the implication of this news, what you can do is use the different AI engines to develop your understanding. So let's use Grok, the Grok engine, which is developed by X, and see what it can tell us. Let me start by asking a basic question as to whether carbon credit trade on IEX. So it clearly tells you that yes, carbon credit trades through the International Carbon Exchange, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Indian Energy Exchange. This is when ICX was formed. Trading started in 2023. ICX essentially wants to explore the possibility of including carbon credits. And it also talks about the recent development, which is basically the regulatory filing that happened yesterday, where it mentions that ICX has entered into an issuer agreement with the International Tracking Standard Foundation and Evident EV. So ICX will act as a local issuer of international renewable energy certificates. Naturally, if something new is happening, you want to know how big is the opportunity. So we can ask Grok as to what is the size of this opportunity. So let us ask how big is the renewable energy certificate market globally. So here it says that REC market has grown, has seen significant growth. It is valued between $9.3 billion to $14.3 billion during this period. It also tells you the forecast, which is about 103 billion by 2030, with a growth of around 27%. It also mentions the key drivers, and in regional insight, it says that North America is expected to lead. Asia Pacific is anticipated to grow the fastest, especially in China and India. So there are certain challenges associated with this market, which is basically lack of universal standards, double counting or fraud, and the pricing and demand can be volatile. So REC benefits from broader shift towards sustainability, and it is a significant tool for entities to claim renewable energy usage without direct physical ownership of energy generation. So this gives you a fair idea about the size of the market. And so next question is, Is this a small market in India? Because if it's a small market in India and if it's going to grow and if it's going to grow fast, then the company can benefit from growth in this market. Yes, in terms of, so it says that in terms of the global market size, the market size is relatively small, and it then details, it gives you a lot of details here. So the demand for RECs is heavily influenced by regulatory mechanisms like the renewable purchase obligations, or rather the effectiveness of these mechanisms has been mixed. So it's giving a very neutral commentary. It is not biased. It doesn't seem biased in any ways. There is an acknowledgement of significant growth potential, especially with policy reforms. So basically, policy reforms will be needed to make it more effective. So let us look at, because we know that since 2023 these certificates have been trading on IEX. So let's see what was the REC volume on IEX. So, okay, it has given us data from January to July of 2024. If I remember correctly, REC started trading late 2023. So it is giving data from January of 2024, which is reasonable. The data reflects a trend of increasing REC trading volumes on IEX with significant growth rates. There has also been substantial price fluctuations, and that's pretty much it. So now let's try to ask, how will its new international partnership affect volumes? So it is talking about it is poised to significantly influence volumes because it will increase market liquidity, there will be diversification of products, there will be boost in renewable capacity. It is mentioning Adani Green and Total Energies. So there is going to be a boost in renewable capacity because of this, and because this capacity can be used to issue RECs. So that is why there will be a boost in volume of RECs traded. Obviously, it has to be driven by some kind of a regulatory push, as was mentioned in one of the previous questions when we asked. It also says that yes, there may be some challenges like the mention of unsold renewable energy capacity due to delays in purchasing power agreements might temporarily dampen the growth in REC volumes if these issues persist. And here is the important point that you should note that integration of Indian REC market with international standards through IRECs could streamline the process for global companies to invest or comply with renewable energy targets in India. The historical trend of REC prices dropping could make RECs more attractive for compliance, potentially increasing trading volume. So yes, there is definitely some potential for increase in trading volumes of RECs on IEX due to this new agreement. So let's find out who all will need these certificates, who needs and buys these certificates. So it is bought by discoms, large industrial consumers, because they may be maybe they have to comply with certain regulations. So there are voluntary buyers like corporations, government and public sector entities, financial institutions, individual and small businesses. So individuals may also need to buy these RECs. So this is curious because uh, I'm a little curious about this, because if individuals also need to buy RECs for some compliance purposes, then the scope may increase even further. So, why do they buy? It mentions about compliance, environmental commitment, market advantage, cost effectiveness, and it describes the market dynamics. So, it gives very good information. So let's look at the individual angle. Why will more individuals need such certificates? Okay, the trend towards individuals needing RECs can be attributed to several factors. Climate change concerns, educational campaigns, so basically increasing environmental awareness, technological and market accessibility, regulatory and policy shifts. So mostly I see that yes, regulatory push will be needed for greater adoption of these RECs. Then we have mention of integration with smart homes. As smart homes technology evolves, individuals may see integrated solutions where their home energy systems automatically purchase RECs to offset consumption. Corporate and social pressure, cultural shift towards sustainability, economic factors, and global initiatives like the Paris Agreement encourage countries to reduce emissions. They often trickle down to individual actions, including the use of RECs. So yes, because of the Paris Agreement and India's commitment to Paris Agreement, at some point in time, we may see a push from the government for individuals to buy these RECs as well. Now let's look at if there are any regulatory plans in India. So are there any regulatory plans in India that might require more individual participation? Okay, so there are regulatory frameworks and initiatives in India that indirectly encourage or might lead to increased renewable participation. So there are renewable purchase obligation targets primarily aimed at large power procurers. So if individuals can participate or benefit from schemes that might meet these obligations, it could drive individual participation. So we'll need more time to understand this. Probably we'll need more research. You can do that on your own if you want. The restructuring of REC mechanism, introduction of REC multipliers could potentially encourage individuals to invest in or support renewable projects. IRECs, which is the news because for which we have basically using this engine to get our answers. We see that yes, the entry of ICX into agreement as a local issuer for IRECs could pave way for individuals to participate in international markets for renewable energy credits. So this might actually encourage individual participation, and so there may be an increase in volume on IEX. Individual solar installations, although not directly tied to RECs, the push for solar energy and discussions about urban households and rooftop solar indicate a policy inclination towards individual participation in renewable energy generation. If these initiatives integrate with REC mechanisms, it could significantly increase individual involvement. So yes, it is talking about the recent program by the government to install solar rooftops, and that may also at some point in time in the future, you can call it a little speculative, but yes, the policy direction and their initiatives, it looks like at some point of time the individual participation in this market might increase as well. So I think this kind of a exercise, when you type in relevant prompts, can help you better understand the potential for any news that may impact the business. It can also help you in better understanding the business and what may drive the future growth in any business. So if you are not already using these engines like ChatGPT, Gemini, or Grok, I would highly recommend that you start using these tools to better understand the businesses you own and to explore their future potential going forward. With this, we come to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please share this video with your friends. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and of course, like the video to show your support. Thank you for logging in.